What is going on in this house? Welcome to my channel. It's me. Today we are looking at the Queen Mary versus the Titanic. Which ship is more haunted? Let's investigate. As always, if you want to hear more from me, follow the link in the description down below to my social media accounts. First up, we have to look at the legacy of tragedy that is attached to both of these ships. The sinking of the Titanic needs no introduction. It's one of the most well-known maritime disasters of all time. On April 15, 1912, during its maiden voyage, the Titanic struck an iceberg and sank, leading to the deaths of more than 1,500 passengers and crew members. This event had a profound impact on maritime safety regulations and practices, which ultimately led to the creation of the International Ice Patrol and the establishment of the captain's wireless to send and receive messages about icebergs. The Queen Mary also has a tragic history. During World War II, the ship was converted into a troop ship and was involved in the transport of military personnel. On October 14, 1942, while sailing from the United States to Scotland, the Queen Mary collided with another ship, the Cape Town. The collision resulted in the death of 21 U.S. Army soldiers who were aboard the ship. So we can see that both ships have a long and sorrowful history that makes them potentially haunted, but for different reasons. Now it's time to look at how long each of these ships have been dead. When it comes to the Titanic, it really depends on what you believe. Some believe the ship is still out there waiting to be found. And if that's true, then obviously it hasn't been dead for very long. However, since the ship sunk on April 15, 1911, it has been dead for 111 years. This is a long time to be dead. The Queen Mary, on the other hand, is still sailing. She left active service back in 1967 after 51 years of service, but she still sails around the world. So if we go off the assumption that the ship died when it left service, then she's only been dead for 55 years. Now, that's not very long in the grand scheme of things, especially considering how old the Queen Mary actually is. As the Queen Mary was built in 1936, she is 86 years old. When it comes to ghost sightings and paranormal claims, both ships have their fair share. Many people have reported seeing the ghosts of passengers and crew members on board the Queen Mary, including the ghost of a sailor who is said to walk the deck at night. There are also reports of disembodied voices, footsteps, and even the sound of music coming from the ship's ballroom. One of the most famous ghost stories associated with the Queen Mary is that of a woman in white, believed to be the ghost of a passenger who died in a fire on board the ship in 1934. Now, when it comes to the Titanic, there have been many reports of paranormal activity on and around the wreck. Divers have reported seeing the ghost of a little girl in a Victorian nightgown walking along the deck of the ship. And many people have heard the sound of music coming from the ship's orchestra, even though there are no musicians on board. In addition to these reports, there have been many stories of people who have visited the wreck being touched or pushed by an unseen force. Some people have even captured photographs of strange apparitions on and around the wreck. In terms of the number of deaths, the Titanic wins. We know that more than 1,500 people lost their lives on the Titanic when it sank, and many of these people are still trapped inside the ship today. There are many more ghosts on the Titanic than the Queen Mary. Next up, let's look at a haunted scorecard. The Queen Mary has been featured in several television shows and movies that are centered around paranormal activity. For example, the series Ghost Adventures featured an episode on the Queen Mary in which the team investigated reports of paranormal activity. They experienced strange phenomena such as disembodied voices and footsteps, as well as the shaking of objects. The team concluded that the Queen Mary is definitely haunted. In addition to this, there was a movie made called The Ghosts of the Mary, which aired on the Discovery Channel. The film follows a group of paranormal investigators as they attempt to uncover the truth behind the legends of the ship's hauntings. The investigators used various tools such as electromagnetic field meters and infrared cameras to try to capture evidence of paranormal activity. On top of this, there are countless YouTube videos of people visiting the Queen Mary and experiencing paranormal activity. I've included some of these clips in this video for you to watch. Now let's take a look at the Titanic. Given that the Titanic sank more than 100 years ago, it hasn't been featured in as many TV shows and movies. However, it has been the subject of many documentaries that have covered the paranormal aspects of the ship. For example, there was a documentary called My Ghost Story, Titanic, which aired on the Discovery Channel. The documentary follows a man who claims to have seen the ghost of a Titanic victim while scuba diving. He believes that the ghost is trying to warn him of the dangers of the deep sea. There are also countless books that have been written about the Titanic and its possible hauntings. For example, there's a book called The Ghost of the Titanic, which tells the story of a passenger who died on the ship and is said to haunt it to this day. The book is based on a series of diary entries that were found years after the sinking of the ship. And of course, we can't forget about all of the YouTube videos that have been made about the Titanic and its possible hauntings. There are so many videos of people visiting the wreck and experiencing paranormal activity. Again, I've included some of these clips in this video for you to watch. Overall, I would say that both ships are equally haunted. There are so many reports of paranormal activity on both the Queen Mary and the Titanic that it's hard to say which one is more haunted. Both ships have been the subject of numerous ghost stories, paranormal investigations, and first-hand accounts from those who have experienced strange phenomena on board. Now it's time to give my verdict. Which ship is more haunted? Well, based on the amount of deaths alone, the Titanic is more haunted. However, based on the number of ghost stories, paranormal investigations, and first-hand accounts, both ships are equally haunted. Ultimately, it's up to you to decide which ship is more haunted. But now I want to hear from you. Which ship is more haunted? The Queen Mary or the Titanic? Let me know in the comments down below. If you want to see short videos from me, then check out my other content. If you want to hear more from me, then check out my social media accounts. They will be linked in the description down below. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to support the channel. Until next time.